welcome to Storyboard. I'm Shibani Gharat. From silver screen to saving schemes, Vidya Balan is now bringing her Vidya to your bank balance. Federal Bank has just roped in the powerhouse performer as their first ever brand ambassador, and they are kicking things off with a fresh new campaign where the actor is giving away savings Key Vidya. We got up with Vidya herself, yes, in between takes, and MVS Murthy, Chief Marketing Officer of Federal Bank, right on the set of their brand new ad film. It's finance with a filmy twist, and you don't want to miss what they had to say. From powerful performances to powerful partnership, Vidya Balan is now the face of Federal Bank. On the sidelines of their new campaign shoot, I'm catching up with the multi-talented and gorgeous Vidya Balan, along with Federal Bank CMO MVS Murthy. Both of you, welcome to CNBC TV.
Thank you.
Vidya, let's begin this conversation with you. It has been a few months of you interacting with Federal Bank. You know, what is, and this is also, by the way, your first association with a banking brand. So tell us about your interactions with the team, and MVS is sitting right here.
I have to tell you, I'm a very proud brand ambassador of Federal Bank because
Thank you.
MVS knows
Thank
this. When I did the Dirty Picture way back in 2011, I was flooded with endorsement offers of every kind, of every category, except banking. So I actually told my management, my talent managers, I said, you know, why don't we explore some, because the offers were coming to me, but I said, why don't we approach a bank and say, you know, I'd love to be brand ambassador. So they went to a few brands and they all said, you know, it's a great idea, but we don't use female brand ambassadors. And I was like, when is this going to change? You know, because we actually run the economy of our houses.
Yeah.
We save. We're so prudent when it comes to money. So I was like, we do have a say in financial decisions. And then I waited 14 years before this happened. And I'm so thrilled about it. Also because I know of the legacy of Federal Bank. You know, though I was born and brought up in Mumbai, I hail from Kerala. So that is the home ground of Federal Bank. Of course, we're all over the country now and also global in certain ways. Yeah. But I feel so happy, you know, that it's finally happened. And, you know, for me, it's very important that when I say yes to a brand, it's either
Put in their life
savings
in
with
a
a bank.
Yeah.
And here I thought what was amazing is, one, they're very techno savvy and they're with it and all of that, but they haven't lost that personal touch, which is, to someone like me, I'm very old school in that sense, but I do realize that, you know, it's not an old school thing. When it comes to money, even today's generation wants to be able to have that one-on-one relationship with your bank manager, with your relationship manager, to be able to say, listen, you know, what do I do? What do I, should I, for example, put my money, I have a little excess, should I use a fixed deposit? But, you know, it can be any sort of questions. So I think they were just like ticking all the boxes for me. So yeah, and they've been, I've been interacting with them for the past few months, and my first meeting happened with MVS, I'm telling you, and there was so full of energy and passion for the brand that itself was,
He's always like that, and it's many firsts for the bank.
Yes.
This is your first ambassador that you have on board, and it's the first banking association, as she mentioned.
Yes.
And so tell us more. This is quite historic.
And she's the first brand ambassador of my career also. I've never worked with a brand ambassador. And this is like hitting a jackpot. You know, you tick all the boxes and you're working with an A-lister.
You know, at this point, you should throw in some tantrums over here. So that he gets the taste of it.
No, I'm preaching this. Murthy hai to mumkin hai. So she can go on any curveballs and we will manage it well. But yeah, it's absolutely been exciting, and we've been wanting to have a brand ambassador for a while. Very long ago, Vicky Kaushal did some campaigns with us, and you know, so this search was on. But now, when you step back and see, I think it's all playing out as a script or as a playbook. We've had a new MD join us. Mr. Manian has joined us after Sham, you know, retired after 14 years of service. And in that context, there is this whole breakthrough era which we are professing to be in, as far as the bank is concerned, and Vidya referred to it, saying that how we are expanding our business across geographies, across global levels, and a lot of new businesses are being set. So that's the backdrop in which all of this is happening. And then we thought that we need somebody who's going to really anchor the brand and create a halo around it. And we thought and we checked, and there was a lot of discussion which was happening. I mean, now it feels that sab kuch easily ho gaya, but nahi hua. There was a lot of deliberation which happened. Then we took the board into confidence and saying that why she's the right person to manage it, because she cuts across multiple segments of people, across the geographies which are there. A great representative for what a woman can go out and do. We are a 42% women employee bank. So there's so much. I mean, I can keep going on and fill this interview, but I think we found the right match.
Yeah, and in this film, you also play yourself. Like, it's not like, you are playing a character or a role, which we have seen you play in many of the other commercials. So tell us more, who came up with this idea? Was it you? Savings Key Vidya? What was
I wish it had come from me, but I didn't have to do.
Isn't it really cool, Savings Key Vidya as a concept?
Cool, but I didn't have to suggest any ideas or anything. We have a great brand here and a great agency working on the campaign.
Yeah, absolutely.
O&M. So I think they came to me with ready scripts, and I was like, wow, this sounds, why hasn't anyone thought of this before? And I think it just, like MVS said, it's just all fallen into place. It feels very organic.
Since you're giving Savings Key Vidya, I have to ask a few finance-related questions.
Okay, then.
What is the most unusual thing that you have saved for?
I have to tell you that I started saving when I was really young. I was in my 3rd standard. And I earned 100 rupees in gifts for my birthday. 100 rupees was a lot.
Yeah.
And my parents said, what do you want to do with this money? I said, I want to start a bank account. So I'm one of those who's always believed in saving. I can't think of anything unusual, but for a gift for my sister. I think that was the first thing that I saved up money for, so that, and it was a few months before her birthday. So every month I take a small amount from my parents, save it, and then I went and bought her a birthday gift. That was very special.
What was
a pair of earrings. So, and not gold or anything, but it was a big deal to be able to do that.
Like, what is one best financial advice that you've got from someone in life?
I think it's very important to be able to enjoy your money, but you'll be able to enjoy your money when you save smartly. I think, because you have to save for the rainy day. Life throws all kinds of curveballs at you.
So what is that, like that thing that you've splurged on?
A house.
A house, yeah.
I think soon after my first film, when I was inundated with offers, I think the first thing I told my parents was that, I'd like to buy a house. And it was, I think there's a certain middle class mentality, which
absolutely.
I think is very valuable, especially in a city like Mumbai, where there's such a space crunch. And I said, my parents said, however small, it's great if you want to buy it, you should do that. And luckily for us, we got a house in the same building where we were living. So it was right next door. So it became like I think that's the,
Yeah,
and that's his most special buy.
Great. And this campaign also speaks about, the app and how personalized it is. But when it comes to app, when you go to like mobile banking app, which all of us bank online these days, what is the first feature that you go to in a mobile phone app, in a mobile banking app?
Invariably, it's to pay someone. I think that's what I use it most for, because it's so convenient today that you can make cashless payments all the time.
Yes.
It's so effortless. It's so, you just, previously you had to make sure that you had enough money in your wallet or your credit card. Today you walk out with your phone and you're able to,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is a transformation that we have seen over the past 5-6 years.
Yeah.
This campaign also speaks about, when you transact online, the personalization aspect of it, and that is what the whole campaign is around. It speaks about rishta, like a relationship between a customer. Aapse hai, relationship.
Sirf app se
Sirf
nahi.
app se nahi.
Sirf app se nahi. So having said that, how important is that personalized touch, you know, when it comes to transacting online?
Like I said at the very start, I think it's the most important thing, especially because people are putting in their hard-earned money. And you see, money is what we work towards, right? It gives us a great sense of security, and you want to know that your money is in safe hands, that people are interested in your growth. I think so that relationship is, you know, it's very crucial, and I've seen this across age groups. People prefer that.
So, you know, Shibani, I'm a very, very proud custodian of a brand which always believes service is first. The human touch cannot be taken away, how much ever you bring in technology and stuff like that. And for us to say this savings ki vidya, ya rishta aap se, sirf aap se nahi, it will require us to really hold on to this and cherish, because it can be an eternal story. I'm saying next 100 years, the touch of a mum, what she's speaking about her sister and her, and you know, all of it is human. Where is technology here? So it is serendipitous that you have landed up there, and then we have somebody like her who carries the middle class values which she mentioned, and the good part of the middle class values is that there is headroom.
Yeah.
So you can always expand and, you know, become affluent, you know, go and get all the things that you aspire.
Yeah.
But there is so much to do. The glass is half full, right?
Yeah.
So all of it converges into how we are as a brand. We are in fact a mid-market brand ourselves.
You spoke about growing the category as well. You know, in a market which is so competitive, it speaks about numbers, and you know, you'll get this percentage if you, like, you know, put in money in the bank. Why did you choose to speak about the category as a whole?
So, Shibani, forget banking. I'm saying you pick up any category. Pick up automobile manufacturers. Pick up somebody who makes biscuits. Okay. Technology is porous. The technology that you buy is something that I can also go out and buy. And there is product parity. You expect that in a set of 3 luxury cars, more or less, mota moti, they'll all be similar. But again, it is the service angle which brings in the whole thing. The other part to your question where you mentioned about, you know, why not talking about interest rates and stuff like that, because somebody else can pip me to those interest rates. And finally, we are all managing a P&L. But what is the most eternal idea? Okay, and we need to sit on creating immortality for brands. Now, whether I use AI to convey this idea, whether I have somebody as prolific as her to convey the idea, but it sort of, you know, transcends time, it transcends medium.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great place to sit.
And now, since you have Vidya on board, what is the marketing roadmap going forward with Vidya Balan as your ambassador? What do we expect in terms of storytelling, newer formats going forward?
I am worried that we don't exhaust her with the amount of work that we are getting done, but I think there is not a single thank you so much. There is not a single day that we are not thinking कि अब विद्या जी के साथ क्या काम करना चाहिए, अब क्या लेकर. And for us also it is important to bring in variety, to bring in newness, because it excites the artist also. Otherwise, it's the same dull, drab and boring kind of stuff. So between the agency, between the marketing team, between our board, and I can tell you this with a lot of pride, that there's not a single day that my team does not have a new idea on anything, not just advertising. We are a bunch of 18 people. Every day we have a new idea. So this campaign will go out and release. It will play out over a couple of quarters. I think the festive season will come up. We'll do something around cards. We are hoping that there's going to be a large co-branded partnership which is going to happen. Plus, Manian has announced that the wealth business will get set up.
Yeah.
There's so much to go out and do. And you know, you can be cynical saying that, but ये तो किसी और ने भी कर लिया है. But हमने नहीं किया है ना. And we are doing it in 2025, 2026. So the world has changed. Like movie making today is different than what Godrej ji did with Pyasa. So you know, so I'm getting goosebumps. It's absolutely exciting.
Finally, before we go, Vidya, since this campaign is about a bank and speaks about personal touch and rishta and human connection, what is the most bankable quality according to you that a person should possess?
Authenticity. That's the only bankable thing in anyone, whether it's a human being or a brand. If you're not authentic, if you're not being true to who you are, to that core, to that, then you're nothing.
And how do you embody it? Counter question.
So one is authenticity is a great segue, is a great pivot. But I just want to sum it up because you said towards the end of it, may knowledge equal to Vidya lead us all to prosperity is what I would say.
I love that.
Amazing.
See, that's why he's a marketing head.
Absolutely. Thank you so much,
Thank
Vidya.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you
most
as
people.
much.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for joining
Thank
us today. It is time for a short break. On the other side, we find out how Godrej Consumer Products is betting big on categories of the future in a special chat with CEO Sudhir Sitapati. Welcome back. Godrej Consumer Products has seen strong growth this year, driven by key geographies like India and Indonesia and core categories such as home care and personal wash. CEO Sudhir Sitapati highlights that the company is also betting big on categories of the future such as air fresheners, liquid detergents and pet care, with sustained investments in product innovation and marketing. Innovation remains central to GCPL's strategy, with iconic India-first launches like Godrej Aero and shampoo hair color now making inroads into global markets. Sitapati shares these insights and how moving creative work in-house has improved speed and reduced cost and sharpened brand impact, while clear success metrics and creative checks help keep the content fresh. Sudhir, welcome to CNBC TV18.
Thanks, Shibani.
During the presentation, you mentioned the products of the future for GCPL. Can you elaborate a bit more on that? You know, you mentioned air fresheners, you mentioned liquid detergent also as products of the future. What is the kind of investment GCPL will put in product development going forward for these products of the future, and also promotion?
You know, these are categories of the future which are underpenetrated in India today, but over the next 15, 20 years, penetration of these categories will rapidly rise. I mean, let's take an example of air care, which has actually reached critical mass, and GCPL has about 40 share of the market there. It's a category that we have invested very heavily in advertising. We have then invested very heavily in innovations. So over every year for the last 3 years, we've had a blockbuster innovation. We first got a product called Airmatic, which you would have seen. It's sprays push in the room. Then we launched something called Aero, which kind of an oval thing that hangs in the car at 99 rupees. And we're just launching something called Air Plug, which is an electric device that you put into your room and the room smells good. So the investments in air, and giving you a specific example, are in media and in innovation to drive. And that's broadly the story across all categories of the future.
And how much of these innovations are like the larger part of the growth strategy for GCPL?
I think they're a very large part of the growth strategy. GCPL has 3 categories, 3 sets of categories. Soaps, which is a 99% penetrated category. So there is a limitation of volume growth on soaps. There's household insecticide, which is a category which hasn't done well in the past, but it has potential to grow. We feel that it's not a category that can't grow. And then these categories of the future, which have to grow at mid-teens in order to get kind of high single-digit volume growths.
Yeah, so it's also a way to offset the pressure when it comes to soaps, which is your largest category, since you mentioned that, there has been a pressure over there considering the palm oil prices have gone up in the past few months.
But this palm oil price is every 2-3 years it shoots up, and, we know what to do, which is to basically absorb in the short term, your margins reduce. And you absorb it and then it comes back. It doesn't worry us that much. What worries us more about soaps is everybody uses a soap. So there are only so many vectors of growth for soap. There is one vector of growth, which is body wash. But that's why the rest of the portfolio has to kind of evolve into being much faster growing and much larger.
Now, coming back to innovations and some of the categories of the future that you mentioned, which ones have come out of India market specifically and worked very successfully across, in different countries? And what is actually your strategy when you go about launching these innovations in the other markets? How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple of them. For example, our air care category, there's a product called Air Pocket, which has seen success in many international markets. There's a product called Shampoo Hair Color, which has now seen success in Latin America and many other markets. This liquid vaporizer Goodnight, which you put the electric, which we're not the founders of it, but certainly when we've taken it to Bangladesh and Indonesia, it's done well. I think there's a general rule here, which is products that do well in one country tend to do well in all countries. So you have to identify, for example, this Airmatic product, which has done well for us, which is this cylindrical thing that, gives out fragrance, was actually a product that we had innovated in Indonesia.
Yeah.
And it's sold in Indonesia, so we brought it here and it's sold here. So a lot of these are just cross-pollination of ideas. Some of them are within GCPL. Some of them you must be open to traveling to various countries, seeing what products work, and then moving them around. That's actually the lowest hanging fruit in innovation.
And how do you validate whether it's working or not before taking it to other market? Like what is
Look,
what
if
is
it
the
works,
vector
if
there?
it's wildly successful in one country, the odds are it'll be successful everywhere.
Yeah, but
Sometimes
the markets are so diverse.
They're not as diverse as we think they are, especially in home and personal care. I think one of the things, kind of being a CEO of a global company and traveling the world, is not how different the world is, but how similar it is. Because needs of a room smelling good, wherever you are in the world, you have that need, or to kill a mosquito, or to color your hair in 5 minutes. So human needs are pretty universal.
Yeah, and I know that the shampoo hair color is very popular amongst a lot of people that I know as well, and they
Correct.
have been using it extensively. But moving on, there was one important point that you mentioned, that there has not been like a decrease in the advertising spends for your brands. How do you manage all of these inflationary pressures while maintaining, because advertising is something that takes the first hit when there are pressures?
No, I think we are quite clear about the fact that when there is a short-term hit in margins, when there is a high inflation, we better take a short-term hit in margins rather than cutting long-term investments. Because margins come back, providing it's not a structural cost. If it's a temporary cost inflation on account of soaps, we'll recover it back. So our strategy is simply to take a margin hit.
Yeah, and how has moving the agency in-house helped?
I think it's helped in many dimensions. One is it has got the creative folks closer to consumers and closer to business. So they're sitting with the business, they're working with consumers, speaking to consumers, and that's allowed us to kind of create better work. It's allowed work to travel, because we have now one global agency, one sitting in Bombay in our office versus having many agencies across the world. And so it's allowed, like shampoo hair color, the work travels. On Air Pocket, for example, we've created one piece of work. We're not only running the same ad across the world, we're also running it. The media is being run from our office. 3 people sit on a desk, 2 of them on YouTube, 1 of them on Meta, and we're running this across 15 countries. There's, of course, also a cost saving, but I think that's the secondary thing. I think the main advantage that we see in creative is it brings creativity closer to consumer and business.
Yeah, but there's also risk of it becoming like an echo chamber. Like, when like an agency has insights from a lot of different businesses, they actually go to different markets. So how do you ensure that that doesn't happen? I also believe that you've recruited quite a few and quite a lot of talent from the advertising ecosystem, like Swati Bhattacharya was one of your recent recruits.
Yeah, no, I think there are 2 things here. One is we're quite kind of disciplined about pre-testing of advertising. We believe in it. So, it keeps the quality high, which is, whatever the drawbacks of pre-testing in advertising, it ensures a certain threshold quality. The second is we have recruited a lot of people. It's still early days for us. We've recruited a lot of people from the agency ecosystem. So as things stand, they're fresh, they're coming with ideas. What happens in the future, I don't know. Will it get jaded? Will it become an echo chamber? All this I don't know yet, but we'll see.
Yeah, and this year in particular, it has come with a lot of uncertainty. Of course, now the ongoing geopolitical uncertainty, of course, markets have been on highs and lows. You still maintain that it is not going to impact the ad spends going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think ad spends is a different way. It's advertising is an investment that sits in the profit and loss account. Actually speaking, advertising spend should sit on the balance sheet. It's like building a house, because you're building real estate in consumers' minds. So that accounting rules, say that it's an expense and not an investment, but mentally you should treat it as an investment.
Sudhir, also give us an understanding on, since we mentioned and we spoke about innovation, give us an understanding on what are the innovations going forward that you particularly are most excited about?
Well, a couple of them, and I think they're downstairs for you to see and maybe shoot as you go down. One is we're just launching something called Air Plug, which is electric. I told you about the electric air freshener. We're just launching Block, which is a antiperspirant in a tube. It's not a roll-on, but it's a tube at 99 rupees. we're launching a product called Amazon Woods 4X, which is a highly concentrated deodorant. We're just launching pet care, which is a new category as we speak. So these are 4 launches that have happened on May 1st, and I'm speaking about them. We've got a few more coming up in the next few months.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us today and thanks for these insights.
Thank you so much, Shivani.
With that, it's a wrap on Storyboard this week. You can catch all of our content on Facebook, X and YouTube. Thanks for watching. We will be back same time next week. See you soon.